So an old goose walks into a bar, sits down. Another goose walks in, it's his buddy, they sit down, they're just having a couple beers, complaining about Obama, doing the old goose stuff. And nearby they notice a table of young squirrels. They've just gotten out of work, they're just sitting there having a couple beers, eating some nuts, playing on their phones a little bit. The old goose sees this and he's disgusted. He's like, oh, you see these young squirrels just sitting on their phones and not connecting with each other. So he's had a couple beers at this point, he walks over, goes up to the young squirrels and says, you know what, you guys need to put down your phones. There's a whole world to experience, other animals to be talking to, but you're just sitting here, you're not doing it. I mean, look at me, I'm an old goose, you could come up to me, you can ask me anything about my life, but you're not doing it. So the squirrels had heard this argument a lot, that they're on their phones too much, they're not experiencing the world, and they'd had enough. So one of the squirrels stands up, he says, listen, I understand that us using our phones is upsetting to you, but I hate to be the one to break this to you. We're not talking to you because of our phones. Never in the history of the world has a group of young squirrels out to have a good time walked up to a grumpy old goose at the bar to ask him his life story. Now, we have really meaningful relationships and really important conversations with other animals all the time. And maybe you're lashing out at the phones and calling the phones the problem when really you need to be looking at yourself, realize what your own issues are, and maybe work on becoming a happier goose yourself. So the goose hears this. He goes back to the bar, sits down next to the other goose. They sit in silence for a second. Finally, he picks up his glass and he says, you know what? I think the young squirrel has a point. I appreciate what he's saying. I like the way he's thinking. It gives me hope for this generation of young animals. Here's the thing that young squirrel doesn't understand. He downs the rest of his whiskey. Sometimes it's just fun to be a cranky old geeser. Get it? Like geese? Geeser?